I'm sitting with one of the most hardworking people that like really inspire me to work very hard as well. When I was having a chat with her and we spoke about matric results, when she told me about her matric results, I was shocked, like really shocked, looking at where she is today. Hi guys, welcome to Career and Corporate Hub. And this is Amandla. Amandla, welcome to Career and Corporate Hub.
Thank you, Kodani, for having me.
Yay! So Amandla is from East London. She was one of the first people I met when I came to East London. So she's one of my friends as well. Her journey is very inspiring, especially to somebody who feels like, well, I didn't pass matric well, and this is the end. So if you look at where she is today, like you wouldn't believe. So Amandla, let's just start from the beginning. Who is Amandla?
Well, Amandla is from East London.
Yeah.
Of course, I grew up here in a township called Tanzania. And then around 2000, we moved to Gombo. It's also a township, but with big houses. So we call it Gombo Heights. So I actually, from there, of course, I grew up there. And then I went to a school called East London Secondary School. So I did my primary there.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and also high school. It's like a school from grade 1 to grade 12.
Okay.
So it's a multiracial school, but it was mostly black people, coloureds, and of course a few Indians.
Okay.
Few whites, you could count them. But it was quite cool actually, with being in a multiracial school, especially also I grew up in a township. I didn't know English, and it was at first a struggle because
you started your grade 1.
Not the grade 1. So sorry. If I go back, it was from grade 1 to grade 3. I went to a township school. Yes. Okay. And then from there, I had to transition and move to a multiracial school. Yeah. That was from grade 4 until grade 12. Sure. So it was a struggle. I didn't know English. Yeah. I remember my first day in school. They asked my name and I said, I'm not a page. It was quite funny, but some of the funny things, but as of course, growing up, I got to understand the language, and then of course I went to high school, and then when I was in high school, then I did, I think from grade 10 to grade 12, and then I did e-commerce. That is your business, your economics and your accounting. Yes. So that's what I did in high school. It was a tough choice then because a lot of people were doing physics.
And why did you choose commerce?
I actually liked economics and business. Yes, back then I was like, I'm going to be a businesswoman.
At such a young age though, I'm just like thinking like high school and already thinking about owning a business. That's
funny enough. After material, I don't want to be a business.
Why?
Because being an entrepreneur and taking risk and all of that, for me, I'm not like that. Like for you, I can see you there, but me, no. So in school, high school, with my matric, I did it was English, home language.
Yeah.
I did Afrikaans, first additional language.
Can you speak Afrikaans? We've never spoken about
that. Don't ask me. I can read and write it. You know what crowd is. You can do something for years, but with me, don't say I must speak it, but I can read and write it.
This one is such a bad friend. I've been here for, I don't even want to say the years because it's like almost 10 years and I still can't speak Xhosa. So I understand why she can only read and write.
Yes, no, don't ask me. So I did that, and then of course the LO, and then we had to choose the subject, and that's when I did your business management, economics, and accounting. Yeah.
Okay.
But it wasn't easy. I remember, with my matric and stuff, I wasn't really good at maths.
Okay.
My mom kept asking me, "Are you sure you wanna do maths and not go to maths lit?" I was like, "No,
there was maths lit."
Yes, there was maths lit, and I chose maths, like pure maths. Biggest mistake ever. Anyways, I did struggle a bit with maths. I had to also do after school, sort of extra lessons. Yes. So luckily for me, because of my mom is a teacher, so she had a few friends that were in high school, and then I would go and just do extra lessons. And then also with accounting, I had an aunt that used to teach accounting, so I also did that. And then during the holidays, I remember there was a school, Ekombo, it was called Ilumko then, but now they've moved. But Lumko had like extra classes for the kids. So we went to the principal, and then my mom asked me to join those classes during holidays. And then that's what I did, just to try and improve, my marks and stuff. Because, when you in matric, as kids, you don't understand how important at the end of the year those results are.
Like they build up.
Correct. So sometimes you take things lightly, and then only in September or
you become serious.
But now you've wasted your, the half of your year. You've wasted so much time, and then only then you become, serious.
And this is actually a good point because matric is, I think your final result is based on a certain percentage. I'm gonna check what percentage it is, and then there's a year mark as well. So if you are failing the whole year, you're also risking to fail at the end of the year, because now the total is from what you've worked throughout the year, and then plus your final results.
Correct.
Yeah, that's actually a good point.
Correct. Because also, like what we don't understand at a young age is, those, I think it's symbols at the end. Your B, your D, B for bachelor's, pass, and then your D for diploma, and then your H for higher certificate. So those are really important, because at the end of the day, that actually determines what courses you'll be able to do when you actually go to varsity. So with me, only at the end, I did pass, of course, but I passed my matric with a national diploma. What that meant is that I was not allowed to actually do a bachelor's. Yes. So I had to choose courses, like national diploma courses. But of course, even then I was confused which courses to do. I wanted to do economics, but when I researched, it wanted maths, and I was bad. I was like, no. I'm not going to do that. And then there was marketing, and then HR. And then my sister's like, no man, why don't you do logistics? I'm like, logistics? What is that? Yeah. And then I remember my uncle says, I will not pass. Because what logistics means is like moving material or any related, services from point A to point B. So my uncle would say, no man, we're not pass, moving A to, I was like, no it's not.
Like I was thinking of the post office.
So my uncle would like make jokes, because I remember then with my cousins, because at the end of the day, like we all had to say, okay, which courses are you going to, and then it goes, no, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and then they come to me, I'm like, no, I'm doing logistics, and then my uncle explains, no pause. I'm like, no man, my uncle, no pause. But of course, I chose logistics. I had to do a bit of research behind logistics.
So you chose while you were in matric, and then the research you did still in matric.
Correct. I had to do a bit of, because at the end of the day, I had to, as much as I was failing, I had to really think in a way.
Correct.
And luckily for me, I had a sister that already did all of that. So for me, it was sort of like easier, because at the end of the day, she was there to sort of like be a guidance. Correct.
Yes.
So during that, I think towards the year, we had to do some research, and then of course after now finding, getting my results, she was like, okay. Because back then I couldn't even apply with my results. That's also very important.
It is.
I could not really apply in the university based on results, because they're not really good to be, I knew that I would be rejected.
That you were going to be rejected.
No, I knew I would be rejected.
But is that the case though? Because I'm thinking if you're applying for, basically the quantity that when you're applying for a diploma, they will first take the guys who have bachelors, and then you will be like at the end, and then you get rejected probably.
For me it was more of, when I looked at the results, they were not really good enough for me to actually be admitted. So I had to work very hard. It's like I said, during September, December, I had to make sure I told my thoughts. So that's what I did. So luckily I did pass, but it's just that unfortunately it was not a bachelor's pass, it was more of a diploma. And then of course.
And how did you feel?
honestly speaking, I sort of like I was demotivated, and I had, you know, your if onlys in your head, like if only I did this, if only I did that. So I had a lot of regrets because looking back, I know myself, I could have done better, I could have passed better, but sometimes, you know, sometimes as children you take things lightly and you're a bit playful. But if I knew then, I mean,
we all say that.
Correct.
If I could go back.
Yes. For me, I think those are the things that I would have changed. But I mean, here I am today, and you never sort of like figure out that I've been, you know, through that whole journey.
And what would you advise somebody that has passed with a national diploma, you know, and wanting to go to university? They are confused. Here's just somebody who passed matric with a diploma. What would you advise them to do? Actually,
both. Even if it's higher certificate, for me, I would say go apply. Don't let that be sort of like a hinder for you to go to the next step. So for bachelor's, yes, you can do a bachelor's course, and I think it's how many years? It's less years. I think it's 3 years.
3 years, yeah.
But now with the diploma, it's 4, because you do your 3 years national diploma, and then you do your BTech.
Also, bachelor is 4 years.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
So remember, like BTech becomes a Bachelor of Technology.
Yes.
So they're both 4 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was 3 actually. I don't know.
I think it also depends on which
course you're doing.
Bachelor of Science, but I think Bachelor of Science is 4 years. Yeah.
Okay. With me, I had to do the 3 years diploma. So I did logistics 3 years, and then of course I did my BTech in logistics, and then it was sort of
like a bachelor.
Yes, correct,
yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
But of course, I think if, let's say, I mean, if you don't know what is your next step, for me, I would say go ahead and apply, but just know that also universities, they also look at the APS score. It's the admission point score.
Yeah.
I think it's admission point score. So they do look at that also, because some courses, there's certain scores that you need to actually do a certain course. So even though I passed with my diploma, you also have to now check if you do qualify for that course.
For the BTech.
Correct. No, for your diploma.
Yeah. University.
So each course in varsity, there's a point system in a way that allows you to be admitted to that course.
Yeah.
I think, I'm not sure if it was 27 then, can't remember. But also when we were applying to varsity, I had to make sure that as much as I wanted now logistics, I was actually able to be admitted for logistics.
Yeah.
So that's also something that's very important that people should notice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, people must just not be, you know, demotivated. I'm sure once you get into varsity, then you can work hard now and work your way up.
Yeah.
Even with the people with a higher certificate, do your higher certificate and then try and improve your marks on the side, or try and see what you can do to try and improve and be able to get into a diploma. Because I remember when I passed my matric, I had also friends that did pass, but they passed with an H. So they struggled also getting to varsity, because they now, when you looked at the point system, they were not able to really, get into the right points for them to be admitted. So I mean, that's also another thing that people should try and work on, actually.
Yeah, that's actually a good advice, because people get demotivated and they just want to sit at home because they feel like there's nothing else they can do. Moving into varsity, how was varsity, like studying logistics?
It was fun.
Yeah.
I remember, funny enough, I applied at Cape Peninsula, can't remember for what course, also Durban,
and
DUT. I did also apply at Varsity College, funny enough. I also did NMMU. Can't remember what I was applying, but I was just then applying for different courses. But I knew that when I was at NMMU, it was for logistics. And then before, it was for different courses. Can't remember. I think HR or marketing. I can't remember. And
it's been a long time.
Yes, it's been a long time. And then I went, then I got accepted actually at NMMU. I think DUT was accepted, but Cape Peninsula rejected. I do know some other varsities rejected me. And then Varsity College, my mom said I was wasting money there. She said, nope.
For another day.
Yes, that's a topic for another day.
Yeah.
And then my sister said, okay, they were going with my brother-in-law to Vaal, because my brother-in-law's brother was actually applying there for some course. So my sister was like, no man, just come to Vaal and just check out and see. I was like, because I've got time for registration and stuff, let me go there and apply. So we went to the Vaal University of Technology. Honestly, I just like the fact that there were just people with different backgrounds. I mean, I was like, what the Tswana people, I just got fascinated with the language more than anything else. Yeah. And then because of that, I was like, my sister asked it, because I got accepted at Vaal, and then my sister said, okay, which one is it? And I mean, I said Vaal University of Technology.
Something different.
Correct. It was honestly something different. Yeah. And the fact that it's far from home, that they don't have to come and
check up on you. You don't want to find your mom sitting in the room.
Correct.
So
besides that, my sister was then at Heidelberg.
Okay.
So she was also not too far
from you.
Yes, and Usbar and I was working at ArcelorMittal, so it was sort of like a Vaal close. Yeah. So I was like, no, let me just be around this area, not knowing back then the campus that you're going to be attending is actually a different campus. So
from where you went to register?
Yes, the registration part was the main campus.
Oh my God.
But the cost was somewhere in Sibukeng, a place called Ejusit.
I think Sibukeng is like a
township. There's a township also there. But we went to Sibukeng. I remember then we were starting with cows. Then because I'm coming from a town, so I was like, yeah, guys, but anyways, that's a
But I also had the same feeling, because when I went to CPUT, there was Cape Town and then Belleville. Like, Belleville was so dry, and Cape Town, when you go to Cape Town, it was so amazing. Yes, like, I wish I could be like staying here, and I felt like I would have a better varsity experience in Cape Town compared to Belleville.
But sometimes, as much as Eju City was a small place, I mean, everything else was okay. I mean, the studying was okay. There were no distractions, nothing. But of course, Zaki, there's a lot of the empty theater part. Sometimes you miss out on a few things because you have to attend classes and stuff. But all of that, I think, as much as it was a bit of a different, expectation in my mind, but it was quite fun. I enjoyed my time in varsity. I have no regrets, honestly speaking. And funny enough, in varsity I was clever. Sorry to say. When I did my course in varsity, and I won't lie to you. I think I had to also make sure that I passed, because when I was doing my first year, so I got NSPAS, and then my second year NSPAS paid a certain portion, but not all of it. And then, luckily for me, during my second year, I got bursary.
How did you
It was I actually applied. My sister kept saying, make sure you pass with nice marks so that you can be able to apply for bursaries. Yeah. So we, of course, applied different bursaries, and then luckily I got EURR-CETA. It's like a wholesale and retail bursary, but I think it's a government bursary still.
Please send me a link. I also want to
put it
in the description.
So WRCTA actually paid for my second year, my third year, even my BTech. So lucky for me, yes, lucky for me.
That's actually a good overview, because now you didn't pass well your matric, and obviously you were not going to get a bursary. So for somebody that feels like, well, I will never get a sponsor, you have to look at it that way, that first year you work very hard to rectify your mistakes from your grade 12, so that you can qualify for a bursary when going to second year, so that can actually help you, have a sponsor.
Sponsoring studies. Yes, because they paid for my fees, and then they paid for my accommodation, for food. Honestly, I didn't struggle when it came to...
And what changed from high school and varsity?
Varsity, you're on your own. Okay. There's no one saying, don't do this, don't do that, don't... You're on your own. You need to be disciplined. Yes.
So in university, you obviously get mixed into different groups. Yeah. You were still explaining that before it cut. Sorry.
No problem. So no, I was just saying that sometimes, as a person, you need to be able to know, who are the real people are and who are the fake ones are. Because at the end of the day, like for instance, we can go partying together, but after we always room, I don't know what Kodani does.
Exactly.
Because maybe you studying and I was like, I'll show me this groove, so
Yes.
So those things, you must make sure varsity
you are on your own.
You're on your own. You know your parting times. You know when you are like really serious, and you know when you're being playful. But make sure you know what you are there for.
You're grounded.
Correct. Because I knew myself, hey, I came here to study. I needed to make sure that at the end of the day, I don't repeat any class. Because back then, remember, I didn't have so I had to make sure, because the first year, you're exposed to a lot of things that you've never been exposed to. Because everything is there. So I had to make
sure. And you're alone.
Correct, and you're alone. So I had to make sure, but hey, I came here to study. So let me do that, so that whatever happens, I can make up as I'm proud at the end of the day. So
nice.
So that's what I did.
That's nice. And for women, did you have a lot of ladies in logistics?
It was a mixture actually back then. So in varsity, logistics was broad. There was a lot of males and females. I didn't say it was then, but now when you go back, the industry itself is actually a male-dominated industry. In logistics, it's a male-dominated industry. But just to take you back, so what I liked about it was that one, it's broad. So during the research and stuff, I saw that logistics doesn't restrict you into one career. Within logistics, there's a lot of careers that you can actually go to. You can be a logistician, you can be a warehousing person, you can actually be a buyer, you can go to shipping. So I saw a lot of opportunities within that that career. And I was like, okay.
I think people only look at it as just logistics. It's just
correct.
Only transportation
of
goods.
It's broad. You can even, like you said, transportation. So there's transportation side of it. There's the buying side of it. There's warehousing. There's shipping. It's honestly a broad career. So and then not a lot of people knew the logistics. Same as me. I didn't know about logistics
until I got to a workplace.
And logistics. Now back then, I was like, if I looked at, a lot of careers then was HR marketing. If you remember, growing up, a lot of people were doing. I'm not going to talk your science, because the science, I think, was clear.
Very common.
Yes. But when it came to industry business, the only things that business us back then was HR marketing, and then also public relations. And then those were the courses that we knew. But at some point, we saw now things that we didn't know, like logistics was one of them.
Supply chain.
Correct. That's the thing, those things then. And I won't lie, it's one, a male dominated, and also then, back then it was a white dominated industry.
Okay.
That's where the money is. So
you see a lot of white people.
That's where the money is. So I saw that and I was like, And then that's when I decided to choose it, because back then actually I said I wanted to be a buyer, because I liked purchasing a lot when I was doing, because my subject in school was, I think it was purchasing, business studies, economics, commercial law. So I did, and then also some financial accounting then. So funny then, when I was doing my classes, I liked purchasing a lot. I wasn't really interested in logistics then. So I had logistics as a subject, and then I had purchasing. Purchasing was more the buying side. I was like, I want to be a buyer.
Like negotiating.
Yes. Because then it was nice, even the lecture, I remember, Dr. Mafini, one of the lectures there today, he sold the subject, man.
And that's another thing that is very dangerous. They say your lecturer or your teacher can make you love something.
That's true. That's what happened. A lot of us basically purchasing.
Because you were enjoying the module, not enjoying like purchasing as a whole. Just the module.
And then And then now I'm fine. I studied Varsity, got my pass there, done a BTEC, and then I applied now. And then, like I said, I was using Ipasa Usita. Back then, I didn't know Usita can also place you workplace. So for me, I was just applying different jobs, going to different interviews. Because I remember I went to a JD Power.
Okay.
Not JD Power.
I'm like thinking.
JD Power is our thing. It's JD Group. Sorry, that's our work thing.
JD Power is like
our work. So I went to a JD Group. I remember I applied there. Of course, different companies I did apply. I was rejected. Some didn't even apply. I think one thing for sure, when companies don't apply, that's a demotivator for any person actually. Yeah. So I applied. They called me so many times. I went there 3 times.
For an interview?
Yeah, for interview.
Okay.
And then I also applied up in Mercedes Benz. And then Mercedes Benz, of course, called me for an assessment. So there you do assessment, and then there's different things that they do, rounds.
Yeah.
And then, but at the end of all of that assessment, there's an end interview. And back then it was I was applying for graduate program, in Mercedes Benz. So JD Group was going to be like not like an intern job. It was like a proper, permanent job.
Oh, okay. From university.
From university. So after my BTEC, that's when, remember, you have to apply now because you want to be in the industry. So at JD Group, I did for logistics then, and then they were merchandiser and whatnot. But they liked me for merchandiser. They like merchandiser. But because I needed a job, I was like, anything, just,
So you went to work?
I went for interviews.
Oh, okay.
They called me 3 times, and then we manager hire. She was like, they said, we like you, but there's something. It's like, they're not sure,
But you were still young.
And then they said, okay, we'll call you in Jan of the next year. That was for 2013.
Yeah.
2013. We'll call you in January in 2013. It was December then. So I needed to get home for the holidays. While I was actually home, Benz called me and said, hey, are you still interested? Jonga, I didn't waste time. I said, yes. And then I called the other company, JD Group. I was like, hey guys, no, I got a permanent post. And then this lady's like, oh, but you've got, I'm like, your one is still in interview. This one
is taking me.
Yes, taking me. Yes. While all of that was happening, Ipasariam Nai called me to say, hey, are you still looking for a job? There is a place for you to work PPP. I think it was somewhere at the Ben. I was like, because I think the place that my bursary was sending me to, it was not like a big company. So I was like, Benz, and Benz is home.
I was about to say, I'm sure one of the things that made influence your decision, when in East London, it's like, I want to work for Mercedes Benz.
Yes,
guys.
Yes. So based on that, I took we pass no, in the same Benz, but no, that's still okay. And then I'll ask, is it okay? Does that pay back Ipasar? They're like, yeah, no, it's okay.
It's sorted.
It's sorted.
Minus one problem on our side for placement.
Good shot. And then with 2013, I started at Benz for 1st of Feb. I started there as a GDP.
Graduate.
And then a training program, yes. And then luckily for me, I actually went to a logistics division.
Yes.
And I was in the heart of logistics, which is a department called material supply.
Yeah, I remember.
That is where I really saw logistics live. In varsity, what you study versus what the guys do, totally different.
Right, yeah.
They were totally different. So I actually went there. I remember my first day, nane blousey.
Corporate.
It's like a pant and heels.
And the heels. Also, you must wear heels.
You just business.
Oh, yes.
I went there, and then I got to my department. It was whole shirt, jeans, and safety boots. First day they told me, you can now take, this says, don't worry about your heels tomorrow, just come with your t-shirt, your jeans, and your takes. I was like, huh?
Oh my gosh.
job.
Yeah.
And then I was looking at the room. It was like old people, like abantu abadala, you know. I was the youngest. So I went there. Bingo dada. To me, bingo dada no mama. I kept saying, I remember I kept saying, that was bad. And like, no, my daughter, don't say that. Just say my name. I can't, because I mean, you can't tell, you know, out of respect.
And I've also seen that with a lot of classes in East London, when we're at work, for an older person, they still refer them to ta.
Correct, because I can't just say, yes, bye, Olani, or I couldn't. So I remember my manager was like, hey, you mustn't stay Kataban here, you must call him my best name, babe. It was strange, but of course, you know, when writing emails, at first I'll say data, and then and then at some point as you got, you know, used to the people, then we change and call them by name. But even today, I still call them data, even after they say.
That's what I'm saying. I've noticed that
it's difficult. It's difficult. Correct.
Yeah.
So and then I started there, and I've been in that company now for 10 years if I count. But of course they don't count your first year as a GD because it was a contract. And then like 2014, that's when I became permanent. But I started as a material controller. That is like sourcing parts. So in the department that I was in, I was sourcing parts for the company, car parts for the company. So it was sort of like divided into different commodities, like electrical parts, exterior, you know, the exterior of the car, interior of the car. So you've got people buying things, you know. So for me, I was responsible for the electrical commodity. So I was sourcing parts.
So what do you do when you're sourcing?
So sourcing is like buying. I order parts from import or local. Yes, it's from import suppliers and local suppliers. So I would source and then of course make sure that I track the deliveries until they delivered. So we also worked with you know, your transport service providers. So from there, and then my job was just to make sure that we've got enough parts to run the production line. The minute
so you could stop production.
I've done that.
I was about to ask, have you?
It was,
oh my gosh,
very important. That one, you know, logistics is a very, what can I say? It's the heart. I mean, as much as it's a supporting function in the company, you know, the core business of the company is to build cars, and then logistics is a supporting function, of course, to make sure all of that happens. So one mistake from a certain department does play an influence in the, you know, at the end. But mistakes do happen, but you learn from them as a person. So I've done that of stopping a production line. It's not nice at all.
A lot of millions.
You do not sleep, but you know, you learn as a person. And one thing about our company is that, you know, as much as you don't feel it, because also with the people that you're working with and the support that you get from the guys, because I mean, they've been there. So luckily for me, when I got to Benz, they were doing run out of 203. 204. My apologies. It was the run out of your model at 204 and then running in 205. So I got to see how they run out a model, and then also got to see how they run in a model. So when I was learning, I came there in a good time, because when they were ordering, you order bits. Remember, it's slot phase. There's phases between you get to like batch builds. So for me, I learned a lot whereby you order small. So you get to see how the guys are doing things.
So you didn't start with
I didn't just big batch. No, you learned from a small batch, and then you start building up and learning the systems.
Which is nice.
Very important that we didn't know that IT also plays a big role in you know, in the you know, the division itself. So I did that, ordering, making sure that there's enough parts, electrical parts for the car to build. And to make sure that I track you know, the deliveries with the service providers. I had to make sure that the parts get received into the warehouse
on time.
That was my end, was to make sure the minute the part is received in the warehouse, my function ended there, because the warehousing part is another function. So it's the material handling side of things. That's another department on its own that was responsible of doing that. So what was nice for us is when I did logistics, at work, there were different, within the division itself, there's different departments.
That is responsible.
Yes. But each department plays a certain role, but altogether it was just one pie. And to making things, because it starts from introducing the part into putting orders into the system, which is customer orders into the system, which is a department, and planning the material flow of that, that's another department, and then the sourcing side, that's another department, and then the handling side, that's another department. So for me, what was nice is I actually got
the full
experience of logistics.
I was actually going to ask, what type of personal trait do you need to have to work in that environment? Because I'm looking at, in as much as you were responsible for the material supply, you also had to interact with other people.
Correct.
And also the learning, you from where you started, you also got promoted.
So for me, you need to be a team player and be flexible. You also need to be sort of you need to have you must be dedicated in whatever that you're doing. Because like I said, there's no room for mistakes. Yes, we do make mistakes sometimes, but it's a fast-paced industry. You have to think on your feet
because you're building a lot of cars.
Correct. You have to think on your feet. You have to be, while you're doing this, you're doing that. So it's like that. It's like it's quite.
That's how you look actually.
Yes. It's like that.
It's not just here, but
it's there. It's actually broad, and also what I liked about it is that you had to work with a cross-functional team. We were involved with different departments. So you actually got exposed in different areas within the company. So you learned, you could understand the production side of things. You could understand, the actual purchasing now. There's a department that is purchasing, the MP, we call it MP, that are responsible for the suppliers. We also had to work with the guys in IT. So it was sort of nice and very broad. And also the fact that also our company is a global company. We were involved also globally. Correct. We got to travel and globally.
To Germany.
Correct. And there I got to understand also how these guys are working that side, and how that whole pieces fit to correct. And it was quite interesting actually. And for me, I don't regret anything. From a GDP to a controller to a specialist to a ramp planner, it's been a journey. It's quite amazing, and I would not do anything different.
Now you move to quality management. So how is that like?
With quality,
it's from logistics.
What's more quality is more calmer. It's calm. There is like a fast pace, it's so hectic. And then quality is going back to it's more calm. And there it's clear what you're there for.
And what I also like? I also like to when you start off your career, start with a place that is very, very busy. I feel like you learn a lot.
That's true.
And if you start where quality is so, not relaxed per se, but
no, you guys are also having your own things there. But what I always say is it's more calm. And there you
retiring place.
You do know how to balance your work and your personal life. Quite with logistics, it was a bit difficult because of the industry itself. It's just a bit difficult at times to balance both your personal and your work, because you're home chasing shipments and making calls,
so your work can take over
sometimes. Yes. But then with quality, what was nice about it is I was able to balance now both my work and my personal life. And what's nice is I'm learning there, because it's still new, and I'm also seeing the other side of the company. But funny enough is I still work with logistics, but on the outbound.
Records for
Oh,
13, 13 minutes. I've been trying to correct that because it cuts while you are talking. But yeah, it cuts not so long at all. Oh, okay. Yeah, so let me just put another voice. Hey, we've been talking.
But at least it was recording.
It was recording the whole time.
Okay.
So, Amy, for somebody that would like to study logistics and get to where you are, what would you advise?
For me, I would say that that person, one, needs to have a vision. One, where do they see themselves?
Yeah.
And then two, I mean, you can, as long as in school you take your results seriously and not play around, then you can do anything.
Yeah.
You can become anything that you want. But of course, I do sometimes say, have a vision board. Some people have vision boards or whatever. I think that's very important because it actually, it changes the way you think as a person. So for me, having like a certain picture in mind of where you see yourself is very important.
Yeah.
And then three, getting to the industry, just understand, one, like I said, when I got there, it was a male-dominated industry. But what's nice nowadays is there's a lot of females now getting to the industry and changing the game.
And we still want more.
And also, it was a white-dominated industry. I mean, if you had to research the different companies that were actually in the logistics, space, it was mostly like white people. But now it's nice to see also black companies, getting involved, being in the transport industry and all of that. So also, just even if you're female or whatever, black or white, just know that anything is possible as long as you work hard, be flexible, and just be dedicated, Jay. I think you can go far as a person.
Yeah. And for you from high school, you wanted to start your own business. So now, would you want to start your own business or remain in corporate?
No.
Okay.
I think,
you're enjoying corporate.
No, besides that, I mean, to be an entrepreneur and do your own things out there, I think it requires you to have a certain personality and stuff. Knowing myself,
but obviously climb the corporate
I
ladder.
do want to climb that ladder, of course, but be more in projects. I like projects or management positions. I'll be okay. But starting your own thing, you just need to have a certain,
But also,
maybe one day when I'm tired and have, with that with the experience that I have in the industry, maybe I'll start something. I'll
get you there,
Yeah. But for now, I feel like I'm not ready as yet because I still need the exposure. I need to be involved in, different aspects within the, the industry, or maybe change industries and move away from automotive and do something different. Yes. But for now, I'm still young. I mean, 31, 32. I don't know. Yeah, 32 this year. I'm still young. I mean, there's still time for me. I mean, even if I'm 40, they do say life starts at 40. Who knows? I can
maybe you would have changed your mind.
Yes, maybe by then I'll be changing my mind and running some logistics company. Who knows?
Yes. Owning some biggest trucks.
Correct. So but for now, no. I still need to grow also.
Yeah. And how is your, I should have asked it before this question. How's your day like? Now with your you're not in logistics anymore.
Yeah.
You're doing something different. So how is your day like? You can also work from home.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
So what's nice now is, like I said, there's a balance. So you do get to work at 7:30, leave at 4, and then do my stuff. Or sometimes I can work from home. But of course, after aligning with your manager. But now there's a balance, and also the what I'm doing now, there is stress. But I call it normal stress. I don't know if it makes sense.
It makes sense.
Logistics is stressful. There's stress, logistics, and then there's normal stress.
But you coped. I mean, come on, look at you now.
No, actually, I don't regret what I did there because, like I said, as like you said earlier on, that you needed to get in, you needed to do something so hectic so that you can, when you're in a calmer place, then you know how to how to handle things. So for me now, if I can go to an action center and report something, I'm not afraid. It's easier.
The confidence.
Because, yes, also the confidence, because now, I mean, in logistics, you take punches. At the end of the day, I mean, you would say something is late and it becomes, I would say whatever, then you say, oh no, the supplier is saying, and then when it doesn't happen, they all look at me.
Like you said the supplier.
You said the supplier. Yes. So now, in this case, if I go to an action center, I'm able to stand there with confidence. I'm able to take any punch I win, because I'm sort of like, in a way, trained to take the punches. So because even now with the work that I do, I still deal with production, but I deal more on the the finished cars and making sure that the quality with those cars is okay and it's done. Whatever that needs to be fixed in the car has been corrected if there's something to be fixed. So it's quite cool also, what I do, and the fact that it's also global. I mean, I don't have to deal with the people in South Africa. I also have to deal correct, and I deal with the VPCs, which is the vehicle preparation centers. I mean, who would have thought? So it's quite cool. I'm seeing the other side of the business, and and like I said, even now I feel like what I'm doing is challenging me. I am not bored at all. It's still a challenge, and every day I want to learn, something new. But of course, you never know, maybe I'll go back to logistics, or maybe
as a manager,
Currently, that's my goal, is to now move up the ladder and take my, my experience and, also give back.
So girl, you're gonna get there.
Yeah, you never know.
Definitely gonna get there. Right. So, one last question. Is there any question that you think could have asked? And if there is, how would you have answered it? Yeah.
No, actually, I don't have. I think we've covered everything.
Right?
I think we've covered everything. I do talk too much, but anyways.
This is what's needed. All the information. All the information is required. Yeah. Thank you so much for the interview. I did say that I really wanted you to share your story, because there is somebody out there who feels like, well, I didn't pass well, and there's no hope. And look at you now, you want to go there, you want to become a manager, and I'm sure it's not like, you're not thinking, maybe 10 years later, no, like right now, So, all the best with that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You never know, Amandla somewhere. You never know, but thank you for having me. Honestly, I think what you do here is really great, because if I think about it, we didn't have such things when I was in matric, and I think whatever that you're doing here does really play a big role, because I even now I had cousins, not sure what they want to do after matric and stuff, but if this can be played anywhere or people have access to it, I think it does play a big role. Because some people didn't know what is logistics somewhere in the rural areas or township. They don't even know what is logistics, but me maybe explaining it might sort of like help out. And I don't have a problem if someone has questions about the career itself. I don't have a problem also to share.
Or leave the details.
Yes, I don't have a problem to share. For me, I promote.
And she literally called me the other day. My plan was literally to do it just in Limpopo. And she was like, no, Katani, there's a demand here. Like there's a gap here. I think you must really look into this. Like just do it everywhere.
Actually, there is a gap.
She literally just flipped the idea I had and just think bigger. So thank you so much for that, and really seeing the bigger picture in this project as well.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye bye. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. I see the numbers are growing, and my target is really to reach to the people who don't have enough information. So it's not really about people who can access YouTube. So I'm also looking for places where I can help with accessing the videos, because this information is very important to somebody who's doing matric, or somebody who's done matric, or somebody who's still going to do matric and would like to study something one day. So thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.